Welcome to my keynote session with Cami Connect. I'm so excited to be with you guys today, and I'm so appreciative of Cami Connect offering this huge virtual conference for educators from all over the world. Make sure you check them out. I absolutely love Cami Connect. Today, I'm going to bring to you some object lessons. I am a 24-year veteran educator from Lexington, Kentucky, and I love to teach with object lessons because when you use an object to teach, hopefully the people, when they see that object 6, 7, 8 months down the road, they will remember the lesson. So I've decided to shoot today from my school library, one of my favorite places to be, and use some of my favorite objects to be able to teach today. They connect with one of my favorite activities, which is coffee drinking. So I'm just going to share with you some of my favorite coffee cups. This is a coffee time keynote, and hopefully you'll be able to be encouraged from what it is that I'm going to say based on some of my favorite coffee cups. This is my absolute favorite coffee cup. I use it all the time. It's just a sloth. On the back of it, it says, "Live slowly." And I absolutely love this because it reminds me to live slowly. We live in such a stressful world in education, on our day-to-day lives, weekly lives, even the weekends. We are stressed out all the time. And I love the fact that this reminds me to slow down. And we have to remember in education that we need to slow down. This summer is an excellent opportunity for you to be able to practice slowing down. Sloths are my favorite animals because they understand the importance of slowing down in order to survive. Let me say that again. Sloths understand the importance of slowing down in order to survive. You see, a sloth has very slow metabolism. And if they were to move quickly and exert a lot of energy, it could possibly kill them. And so because they have small stomachs and only eat a small amount of food and they have low metabolisms, sloths move very slowly. And they get a reputation of being lazy. It's not because they're lazy, it's because they're intelligent. You see, sloths understand the importance of slowing down in order to survive. They know that if they move around quickly, move from the trees, go crazy, expend all this energy, then they could not survive. So they move slowly. They also have very poor eyesight. And so as they're in the trees, what they're looking at is greens and grays and browns. And their eyesight makes it very difficult for them to see what it is they're grabbing. So they move very slowly. They understand the importance of moving slowly in order to survive. I love this cup because it reminds me of an educator to slow down. And my first challenge for you today is to understand the importance of slowing down in education. We live in a world where we're supposed to go, 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 go all the time. We have parents that expect us to answer emails at 9 o'clock at night on a Tuesday. We have administrators that expect us to be in the building on the weekends doing things and go, go, go. And we have to understand the importance of slowing down in order to survive. One of my favorite things about education is that we get breaks. We get weekends, we get Christmas break, we get winter break, we get summer break. And I want to encourage you on this summer break that you would take the time to think about the importance of slowing down. This summer, you got to take a break. I'm so thrilled that you're joining me here on this virtual PD. A lot of you have picked out books to read. Some of you are signed up for other PDs, but you need to make sure that this summer you slow down. Because as educators, we can't survive if we go nonstop all summer long and all of a sudden we come into the fall and we're starting a school year and we've not taken the time to slow down. I want to remind you, nobody's going to come over and yell at you if you sleep in an hour or two. Nobody's going to roll their eyes at you if you don't make your bed. Nobody's going to be upset with you if you tell your kids, "You're on your own tonight, I'm not making dinner, just grab whatever you want to." We have to find ways this summer to be able to slow down because this is a time for us to refresh, revitalize, and be ready to go into the school year. So you've got to take some time to slow down, read books, spend some time at the pool, spend time with your family, and forget about education and take that time to slow down. Sloths understand the importance of slowing down in order to survive. In education, if we don't have the ability to slow down on a weekend and relax and spend time with our families and spend time for ourselves in the evenings when our day is over, to forget about school, to relax and watch a good movie, watch TV, cook dinner, be able to relax. If we don't understand the importance of slowing down in order to survive, we will not survive. Let me tell you what will happen if you don't start slothing it in your life, you will leave this profession early because you're unable to slow down, and so you're constantly going nonstop, nonstop, nonstop. You're grading papers at night. You're answering emails of parents. You're texting people all night long. On the weekends, you're going in to do this and do that. And you know what? You're not understanding the importance of slowing down in order to survive, and you're not going to survive. You're going to burn yourself out. You're going to be mentally and physically exhausted, and you're going to end up leaving a profession earlier than you need to. And so many kids are not going to be blessed because you've not understood the importance of slowing down in order to survive. This summer is the opportunity for you to be able to relax. Spend time for yourself, with your family, with your friends, with your pets, relaxing. Make sure that you understand the importance of slowing down in order to survive because it's extremely important in education. This is one of my other favorite cups. It's just a dollar store cup, and it says, check me out. I love the dollar store cups. I love them because if I lose them, it doesn't bother me. I'll leave them in someone's classroom, or sometimes the kids grab them or they get broken. And so they're just $1 and I just replace them. But I love the ones that have sayings on them. Check me out. I got this one because I saw it. I have a teacher that absolutely loves cats. She has like 4 cats. And so I got this and showed it to her, and I use this. This is called an open door. And I want to remind you what an open door is. An open door is a door that is opened into conversation with someone else. Because see, if you see one of your colleagues walking around with this coffee cup and it says, check me out, you have an open door for relationship building. The number one aspect to being happy in your workplace, being happy in education, to staff stability and retention is relationships in the workplace. You see, teachers will drive an extra 20, 30, 40 minutes to be at a school if they've got positive relationships. People will stay at a school where it's kind of rough and maybe difficult if they've got good relationships. And relationships are built on open doors. And so I want to remind you with this Check Me Out cup that you got to walk through open doors, and it simply means paying attention. You have to pay attention as you're walking through the hallways. You have to pay attention on social media. You have to pay attention with staff meetings when people are conversing, especially the socialization aspect of that. Because when you're listening, when you're watching on social media, when you're seeing what people are bringing into school, what they're wearing, you have an open door. When you see your colleague walking around with a cat cup, you have an open door to have conversations with them about why they like cats, why you don't like cats. This also works with kids. When you have a child that comes in a Star Wars shirt, you have an open door. You have an open door to build relationships with that child and start conversations with them, and you always have something to talk to that child about because you've paid attention to open doors. In education, we have open doors nonstop. At every meeting where we have 5 minutes to converse before we start, every social media outlet from TikTok to Twitter to Instagram, as you're reading those, you are being presented with open doors in order to build relationships. Let me give you a suggestion as to how to open doors in your staff. And whether you do it with just your grade level because you're a classroom teacher, or whether you do it with everybody because you have the ability to be able to lead a whole school. One of the things that I believe is really important is spending the first minute of every meeting opening doors. And so every time we have a meeting and we gather together and there's 5 people sitting at this table and 5 at that table, every time we have a team meeting where a team of 6 get together, every time we meet, we spend the first minute of that meeting with open doors. And what we basically do is simply ask a question. And we say, okay, we're getting ready to start. Let's do some open doors. 1 minute. Share what your favorite movie is. And for the first minute of every gathering, every meeting, every staff meeting, every team meeting, we spend the first minute opening doors to relationships. And now you've been to 27 staff meetings and 42 team meetings and some PTA meetings and some grade level meetings and some specials teams meeting. And every time you went, you heard 3 or 4 different things about people around you, and they're called open doors. Let me tell you how it works. So I messaged a friend of mine who is a teacher. I haven't seen him in 8 years because 9 years ago, we decided to have an open door session at a meeting. And I said, everybody share what your favorite hobbies are. And he said, I like to grow orchids. So fast forward now with this friend years later, I'm watching TV and I see on the news at 11 o'clock tonight, we're going to be talking about how to successfully grow orchids. And I get my phone out and text my friend that I haven't seen in years and say, make sure that you watch the 11 o'clock news. Do you know why? Because we spent 1 minute on open doors in that staff meeting, and it opened doors for a relationship with me, because I know that he loves to grow orchids, because that's what he said what his hobby was. You have to pay attention to open doors. Pay attention to open doors with your colleagues, with your administration, with your parents, with your kids. Because when you see an open door of somebody holding a Star Wars cup or wearing a certain sports team, you now have an open door to start a conversation with that person and to build relationships. In education, we have to understand that there are open doors all over the place. And what we have to do is be able to walk through those simply by making a mental note that, hey, he really likes Star Wars. Oh, her favorite author is Amy Tan, or whatever the situation is. Follow those open doors and build relationships, because the number one aspect to workplace happiness is relationships at work. This is one of my favorite coffee cups too. This is just $1 store coffee cup. They have them in all different colors. This one is actually broken. I actually broke it on purpose for this lesson. Put it back together again. Now, I couldn't get this chip right here in place, but guess what? This coffee cup is still usable. As long as I'm not going to drink from right there, I can fill it up to right here and I can still use this. I got this idea for an object lesson from going to third world countries on mission trips. I was a youth minister for a long period of time, and we always went to Haiti and to Jamaica and to Honduras and places where they aren't just able to replace a cup or a plate that's broken. And when we were in Haiti, we often ate on dinner plates that were cracked in half that had been glued back together again, because you can't just run down to the store or run down to Walmart and grab another plate when you're in Haiti. So they were often fixed and used, and the thing is, they were great. The plates that we used that were split were perfectly usable, but they were split and had been fixed, and that's what's happened with this coffee cup. I broke it and I glued it back together again, and I even used it to make sure that it does work. And see, this is like our relationships. We have to be very careful about a broken relationship, because we may be able to mend it, but let me remind you of something. It will never be exactly the same. This cup will never be exactly the same. Once it's broken, I can put it back together again. It can still be useful. I can still use it, but this cup is never going to be the same again because it's been broken. And I want to remind you about the relationships that you build in school with students and with your parents and with your colleagues. Because when you choose behaviors that break relationships, those relationships are never the same again. And you may be able to get it back to a working relationship, but when you choose to do things that break relationships, you will never get that relationship back to the way that it was. So we have to be very careful in all situations the way we handle parents and students and colleagues. Have you ever been extremely frustrated with a child? When you get extremely frustrated with a child and lash out to them and show them anger, you can break a relationship, and it may never be able to be repaired again. And you can work on it. You can have a good relationship with that child, but the bottom line is sometimes our words and our anger break relationships. We got to be very careful when we deal with parents. I tell staff all the time, always choose relationships over being right, because sometimes there are situations where what we're going to say is right, but it's not going to improve our relationship. I had a teacher tell a parent one time that your child's not failing my class because of me. Your child's failing their class because you have her at the softball field every night until 9 o'clock. Maybe if you organize your time a little bit better, your child wouldn't be failing my class. Guess what? That was right. The child was up all night. They were traveling all weekend long. The organization and the schedule of that parent was causing stress on that child's work relationship at school work, but it wasn't the right thing to say, because this is what it did. It broke a relationship with a parent. Sometimes, even if it's right to say, doesn't mean it's the right thing to say. We have to be very careful how we deal with the relationships in our lives as educators. And we've got 3 hugely important groups of relationships: students, children, parents, and colleagues. And when we choose to haphazardly break those relationships by being right or by saying what we think or by jumping all over someone, You know what we do is we break a relationship. And as adults, we often know how to try to solve those relationships and fix those relationships. But I want to remind you, broken relationships are never exactly the same. So one of the most important things that we can do this summer is think about how we deal with situations, especially when we know we're going to be in a stressful situation. Because if we choose to act in a way that breaks a relationship, we may never get that relationship back. So I just wanted to share with you real quickly a couple of my favorite coffee cups in a coffee cup keynote. I really and truly hope that this encourages you in your position, helps you this summer. We got to sloth out. We got to spend some time relaxing, not just this summer, but during the school year, that when you get up from your desk, you're done for the day and you spend time for yourself. On the weekends or for you, you're not emailing people at 10 o'clock at night and answering parent emails unless there's an emergency. We've got to learn to be able to sloth out. And we got to walk through open doors all around you on social media, on clothing, on what people are wearing, on the pens that they're using, on the cups that they're using. There are open doors for you to be able to build relationships. Open your eyes to those open doors. And you got to remember that relationships, when they're broken, they never come back to be exactly the same. You may be able to fix it. It may be a workable relationship, but it's never exactly the same. So be very careful in the way that you handle parents and students and your colleagues. I'm so thankful for Cami and what they're doing for us this summer and offering this opportunity for us to be able to learn. I hope that you've learned something great here, and I hope that you have a fantastic summer, relaxing, learning, and being the best educator you can be. Thanks so much.